Peace, family. You tapped into the doatbm. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content and updates. This one's so groovy, baby. Peace, family. We're joined with a special guest this week, coming in from Cleveland, Ohio, a part of the family out there. So, this is Taye Uhuru. So, what's good, brother?
What's good, King? I gotta thank you first and foremost for allowing me on your platform. It's definitely an honor.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I salute you, man, and it's an honor for you to be on here and just for us to be able to make the most of this technology and even be able to connect and stuff, because we know that there's a lot of like minds scattered around the world and stuff, and so when we got a format like this as a vehicle that we could use to build, we gotta make the most of it, you know.
Most definitely.
So and I know that you're a man that's well traveled from some of the stuff that you've sent over and stuff, but I'm gonna let you get into it, and for for our listeners and stuff, give us an introduction to who you are and the work that you do.
Okay, I'm Taye Uhuru. I'm a historian, I'm a genealogist, I'm an author, I'm a musician, I'm a hip hop artist, I'm a world traveler. I've been to about 70 countries around the world, 15, 20 African countries,
So what's that? What was those experiences like? I guess traveling to, you say 70 different countries. That's a lot of places. That's a lot of stamps.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, for the most part, it's been great experiences, man. Outside of just traveling, I try to give back. I try to engage myself in a lot of different social activities, volunteering, tutoring, donating clothes, donating money, just different things like that. I've worked in orphanages, community centers, elementary schools, doing different things like that. Definitely connecting with artists from different countries. I've been blessed with the opportunity to record, perform, go to studios all over the world, do songs with guys in South Africa, guys from Senegal, guys from Brazil, Dominican Republic, Amsterdam, all type of places.
Okay, that sounds dope. I've been to a few of those places. Only a couple, nowhere near as much as yourself. But
that's cool.
One of
though,
the blessings, like you said, has been able to even connect with people and create and do creative stuff like making music and stuff like that. So in terms of your music and stuff, what were your influences?
Oh, you mean like coming up as a kid?
Like coming up, like artists and stuff that influenced you to kind of get creative, because every creative, they was influenced somewhere down the road, or
Mm-hmm. I mean, coming up, I was born in the 80s, so I was kind of coming up during the golden era of hip hop. I had older brothers, I had my father, I had cousins that lived with us, so it was usually like a house full of men and young men, so it was always records spinning, a lot of hip hop, some old school music too. My brothers, they used to have house parties and stuff all the time. So, my earliest memories, I remember listening to hip hop, looking at the albums, the artwork, you know what I'm saying? Listening to people like X-Clan, KRS-One, Boogie Down Productions, Rakim, NWA, the Ghetto Boys, Public Enemy, and the list goes on. So those was definitely my influences to, have raps and music with content, lyrical content, talking about politics and things that matter. As I got older, well, as I got into like elementary school, that's when I really first started trying to write my first raps. But it was just for fun, to make people laugh, say ooh and ah and stuff like that. So when we got into high school and junior high, that's when we started really kind of writing songs and hooks and recording on tapes and stuff like that. So, hip hop has always been a part of my life. Probably my biggest influence coming from the city of Cleveland is definitely, Bone Thugs and Harmony. You know what I'm saying? We had a group that
Motherfuckers,
Tupac, Biggie, Big Pun, Fat Joe, Run DMC, Eazy-E, Ice Cube, Mariah Carey. They worked with so many people and captivated, hip hop. Even today, you can hear a lot of the influence that they had, and they've had on artists like Nelly and Drake and Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, the Migos and Wiz, and the list just goes on. So they definitely influenced me growing up in the city of Cleveland, for sure.
Okay, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Bone definitely put CLE on the map and stuff, and especially when you mentioned their artistry as well. I think definitely standout artists and just their style, what they brought, just their originality, that all that stuff that they brought to the game. That, as you said, you still hear the influence now in others, and they definitely one of a kind. With that being said, because you mentioned a lot of powerful names like X Clan, PE, Ghetto Boys, GBs, all this sort of stuff, and I want to say peace to the Ghetto Boys. I got a new podcast as well, which I've been checking out recently, which is quite good. Willie D and Scarface, Brad, they're doing good stuff as well. But with that being said, one of the things they were discussing on there as well is just like the differences between this sort of new hip hop and the old hip hop. And recently we've seen stuff even with T-Pain just talking in contrast with new music, in contrast with older music, and just how new music sort of lost its originality. Still keeping it on a baseline point. When we look at even just stuff to do with our people and our culture and how hip hop was incepted and to where it's at now, what do you feel about I guess the new artists that we see nowadays, like for instance, like Lil Nas X is one that's a huge topic of discussion at the minute. Now some say he isn't hip hop, he's a country artist, but then he's still embroidered within hip hop and the culture. And we've recently seen like the Baby make some statements towards him, and Lil Boozy and stuff, and people have had them up and say it's disparaging comments. So what do you think about the state of hip hop today?
Man, there's so much to say. I think number one, like I said, when I grew up, the people that I listened to, they always sounded different and looked it different. So for example, I like the Wu-Tang, and I like the Bone, and I like the Outkast. Their beats were different. The way that they rap,
you knew there was different. Yeah.
So if you took Bone and put him on a Wu-Tang beat, or you took Wu-Tang and put him on an Outkast beat, you would have a totally different sound and song. You know what I'm saying? And you could tell that they looked it different. You know what I'm saying? Their names was totally different. You know what I'm saying? But now the music you kind of listen to, it kind of all sounds the same. It's like the same tempo, the same subject matter, the same content. The beats is about the same. The hooks is about the same. They rapping about the same, cadences and styles. So the originality is pretty much gone. And the lyrical content, it's not a lot of message in the music today. So, in terms of things that's going on as far as like the Baby and Nas X, I think people kind of generalize rappers and hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Anybody can rap. So, you just have to have different classifications. I don't think that those are hip hop artists. You know what I'm saying? Just like jazz, or rock and roll, you got different genres of. You got gangster rap, you got conscious rap, you got horrorcore rap, you got freestyle battle rappers. You know what I'm saying? So I think what they doing is something else. It's not really hip hop. You know what I'm saying? But it's just thrown in there with it, though. You know what I'm saying?
With that being said, no, I definitely hear you and understand that. And I can tell you definitely a conscious brother. With that being said, we do hear a lot of people sometimes say that they do feel as though hip hop has been hijacked in a sense. What would you say in that respect?
Yeah, it's definitely been hijacked. Everything that black people have ever invented in America has been taken from them and perverted or exploited, if you will. So I think the thing was, when hip hop first started, it was something new, which black people do all the time. We come with something new, something groundbreaking. And, most people didn't really think it was going to last. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, at that time, you had the best of the best. So when you had the golden era, maybe like in the 80s, you had the Rakims and the KRS-Ones and the Boogie Down Productions and Public Enemy and even Tupac and Nas going into the 90s. You had a lot of conscious subject matter. So you got people talking about fuck the police, fight the power. You know what I'm saying? That's disturbing to the power structure. So, they had to find a way to harness that talent, harness the potential that hip hop had. So once Tupac and Biggie died and rap started to decline, you know what I'm saying, the power of hip hop was in the hands of non-black people. You know what I'm saying? Initially, I mean, in comparison to when it first started, it was just about who was the best. So now it's like marketed and watered down, and we're gonna play with what we think you want to hear versus they was just playing what was the best music, and it was more of a balance. So you had the party rappers, you had the hardcore rappers, you had the content rappers, and now it's just like we're marketing something else. So we're gonna market a little Nas X. It's obvious what we're marketing with him. Or we're gonna market this rapper about drugs and sipping syrup and popping Molly. They got their own agenda. Hip hop is $1 billion global industry, and the majority of the people that's making money off of it probably not the people that created it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I'm out here in London at the minute, and sometimes I see people walking around in Death Row Records merchandise, Death Row Records shirts and hoodies and stuff. And these are like young kids, a lot of young Caucasian kids, nothing against them, I'm saying, but in the context of where Death Row was incepted from, and the type of people that built it and created it, but who owns it now is able to capitalize off merchandise and other forms of the brand and product and identity, it does lead credence to that sort of hijacking. Because sometimes we see some companies like that, they get real big, they've been made to a certain level, and then by the end of it, their rights and all those things are taken away, and it's ended up in the hands of somebody else and stuff sometimes. With that being said, how important is it, do you think, for black people to have a hand in the things that they actually create when it comes to ownership and controlling it? Because like I saw a post the other day, I think Big Court made it, and it was about Vlad, and some people were saying, well, is he getting a negative slant because the fact that he's white, or is it justified in the sense that he's abusing like the culture in a sense? So when we look at just hip hop and the culture, and like you were saying, when we look at like labels or other functionalities of the business as a mechanism and stuff, and we look at people who yield or wield the operational power, oftentimes it isn't black people, apart from in very small instances. So how important do you think it is for black people to have a hand in what they actually create, or do you think we should just create stuff and other people sort of capitalize off it?
Man, we should have total control, total ownership, not only in music, but our politics, but in our food. We should grow our own food. We should educate our own children. We should protect ourselves. We should be our own doctors. We should be our own lawyers. We should be our own police. We should have control over everything. But I think the problem is, especially like in the Western world, like in Europe or in America, a lot of black people are seeking validation from whites, and it's historical reasons for that, but it's nothing new. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, everything we ever created, they always took it from us. Even with the musicians back in the day, you know what I'm saying? They would make all of these hit records and end up broke. And then the rich label owners who was white and the executives, and they would make all of the money, even with sports and a lot of other industries like that. So it's not just music, you know what I'm saying? So, I definitely believe in independence. I co-founded a food co-op in my city myself, you know what I'm saying? So we could grow our own food, so we could sell our own food, you know what I'm saying? Because we always look into them to do things, you know what I'm saying, to kind of work together. But when you go to other communities, the Asians control their thing, the Indians control their thing, the Arabs control their thing, whites control their thing, but black people always got this relationship where we feel like we need a white person to help us. We need a white person to take us to another level. We want their awards. We want to be on the Oscars. We want to be on the Academy Awards. We somewhat disappointed when we don't receive these things.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, it's interesting you say that, because I was in conversation a few months ago with an Englishman, and we was talking about doing some business, and he was explaining to me about some time that he had spent in Africa, and he was saying that the people out there were so miles ahead, advanced in one way, just in terms of thinking and just capability. However, he said they have this misconception where they feel that the white man kind of has the answer to everything. And this is an English guy, a white guy, saying this for the record, and saying if they have that sort of misconception that they have all the ideas and answers and stuff, as opposed to I guess diving into their own wealth. I mean, he didn't extend more into, reasons why, and we could look at, multiple reasons why that is, especially after back of colonialism and stuff. However, because he said it in a flippant way at the same time, he was, kind of being, a bit blasé. But at the same time, it was interesting that he made that point, because that coincides with what you was just saying as well.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, Africa, put it like this, Africa is the most genetically diverse continent in the world. Africa got more countries than any other continent in the world. Africa got the animals. Africa got the diamonds, the gold, the oil. Africa got the best beaches, the best fruits and vegetables, but it's the poorest place in the world. So we're still looking for somebody else to take what we already have. We got the diamonds, but we got to sell them dirt cheap.
Well, that's why he was actually in the jewelry business. Sorry to cut you. And, he used to.
No, you got it.
He used to brag about how he used to send people down into the mines and stuff and pay them a certain amount. And he said sometimes some of the people, they don't even come back up, because he said they're going down into like the Earth's core and all that stuff, and and they just send down like a rope with some stuff for them to send up the racks and stuff that they get them. And he said some of them don't make it back up.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. And I'm trying to help break that cycle. I do educational tours. I take groups from America to different countries in Africa, because there's so many misconceptions that, that we have about the continent and the people on the continent of Africa. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what, speak a bit more about the work that you do. And you also mentioned you co-op and stuff earlier. Give us a bit more explanation on that, even the process of setting it up, what sort of difficulties you probably came against, how you was able to insurmount and where you're at with things now.
Well, a lot of viewers may not be familiar with the term cooperative economics, but basically it's like this. In America, a lot of the black communities don't have grocery stores. So they call it a food desert or food apartheid. You know what I'm saying? So we only have access to like fast food and junk food and food that make us sick. You know what I'm saying? So a food cooperative, it would be like a grocery store. But this what the difference would be. If I open up a grocery store with my own money and I privately own it, then I'm going to get all the benefits of it. So I can take all the money and do what I want with it. I can run the store how I want. But if I have a cooperative, say it's in the hood, it's in the ghetto, but this community may have 20,000 people. So if we can get everybody in the community to say, all right, everybody put in $100, $20,000 times $100, that's a lot of money. That's enough money for us to open up our own grocery store. So you could use the cooperative method for land, for farming, we could open up a credit union. That'd be like a bank. You know what I'm saying? We could do a housing co-op. We could do it with pretty much everything. So basically, if everybody give a little bit, then we would have a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And what's interesting is these are the things that aren't really taught in mainstream education. I know out here in the UK, similarly to what you just said, there actually is a cooperative called Co-op, and they're nationwide throughout the whole country and stuff. And that from banks to like grocery stores and all sorts of stuff, housing, they're widespread. Now, people would grow up even seeing Co-op and probably just see it as a company or a brand and stuff without having an understanding of its functionality and how it's able to serve certain people within its community. So I think that was a good point of stuff that you just made, identifying that it's actually a model to be used and stuff as well. And this type of education and information, I think, is important for people to know.
Yeah, definitely, because it's a tool of empowerment. You know what I'm saying? We could bring the community together, but also you will have ownership and you own a part of this co-op. So you get what I'm saying? So say if it's a corner store, like basically in Cleveland, the corner stores might be owned by the Asians or the Arabs or whoever. And we don't have
same here in the UK.
Right. So we don't really have a relationship or a connection with these people. We don't have no say in what they sell or what they provide to us. So if it was a co-op and you were one of the investors, like I say, everybody put in $100, we can vote on things. We can determine if we want this or if we want that. So it's a democratic process. Everybody has a stake in it. And then the people in the community feel more empowered. They'll be less likely to burn it down if it's a riot. They'll be less likely to rob this store. They'll be less likely to steal from this store, because they're going to be like, I think my grandmother owns some of that, or my brother helped build that, or my cousin working there, or you know what I'm saying? And cooperatives, they do a lot more than just provide goods and services. So with the co-op that we co-founded, like we would sell groceries and stuff like that, but we have classes. We may have a class on lupus. We may have a class on diabetes. We may have a class on sickle cell, you know, different things like that. We have urban gardens. So we'll have classes teaching people how to garden, teaching people how to grow food. We'll have classes teaching people how to make vegan meals, how to make vegetarian meals, how to eat healthier, how to exercise, how to do meditation, how to do yoga. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's bringing people together a little bit more than just a place where we buy food and go home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's the meaning of community, and you know, people communing in unity, coming together, sharing knowledge and information. So definitely peace to you guys on that front for the work and stuff that you're doing. And it's definitely a great message for other people to see, especially young people of our generation and stuff. I know some may say we're getting on to the midway generation and there's younger people under us. However, we're still you know, showing and proving that certain work can be done. You know, there was something else that came to mind when you were speaking in regards to just not the meditation stuff, but just you know, getting people together. If it comes back to my mind, I'll bring it back up, because it did pop up while you were speaking, but now I've probably gone slightly off on a tangent. So you know, let's talk a bit about the tours and stuff that you've done and that you've set up. How can people get onto one of these tours if they wanted to, and what would be involved in one of these tours when they go out there and stuff?
Oh, okay. Right now we have about 7 tours to 7 different countries in Africa. So I've taken middle school students, high school students, college students, young adults, elders. So Africa has something for everybody. So like I said earlier, Africa is the most diverse continent in the world, you know, but a lot of times in America, we look at it as one place. So that's one of the misconceptions that we have. So for example, like I live in North America. If you went from America to Jamaica to Mexico to Haiti to the Dominican Republic, these places are totally different. The people look different. The food is different. The weather is different. The language is different. You know, you have a lot of different things going on. So Africa would be probably 10 times more diverse than that. So each tour serves a different type of purpose. So we have a tour to Egypt. So this tour will focus primarily on the ancient African history, maybe 5,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, 1,000 years ago. And we will go to places like the Valley of the Kings, the Valley of the Queens, Hatshepsut's Temple, Temple of Karnak, Temple of Luxor. We would go see the Sphinx. We would go see the pyramids of Giza and different things like that. And we would see the great kings and queens and pharaohs, the black people with afros and braids and dark skin, because they tell us that Egypt isn't even African. It's not even in Africa. So, you know, that's a very empowering experience for a lot of people to see that the greatest structures that this world has ever seen are decorated with people that look like us. You know what I'm saying? And then we have tours to places like Ghana. A lot of African Americans want to reconnect with that lost history, you know, during the transatlantic slave trade. So we go to the door of no return. We go to the slave dungeons. We go to the slave castles. We learn about the Ashanti tribe. We learn about the kente cloth and the Adinkra printing. And we also learn about a lot of misconceptions that we have about slavery, because in America, we're taught that all Africans sold other Africans into slavery, but they don't teach us about the Africans that fought against slavery. They don't tell us about the wars and the revolutionaries and the people that fought against the Europeans. So that's something that's very important. And that's an experience in itself. When people enter into these slave dungeons, you know, they a lot of times they become overwhelmed, and they may cry, you know, or they may rejoice. They may feel a spiritual connection with their ancestors in some way, you know, or something. You know, so you can go any time of the year. The tours are flexible. You could do a payment plan. The tours, they include your flight, breakfast, hotel, dinner. all of the activities. So if we ride the camels, if we ride on the boat down the Nile River, if we go in the Cairo Museum, everything we do would be included, So.
All inclusive. Yeah, that sounds great, man. And we'll get the the website information and stuff up in the description for people to check that out. Now, what the point that did pop up in my mind earlier was when you were speaking about just the people cooperating together, and it just gave me shades of the Honorable Marcus Mazai-Garvey and stuff, because one of the things that he definitely spoke and taught on a lot was how people could economically work together in ways in a community sense where, people, it would benefit each other and stuff as well. Speaking of another honorable person, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he taught on separation. Now, I've got to ask you, in terms of, you're a person that's well traveled, you've got your experience growing up in North America and stuff as well. Do you feel as though, in the state of how we see things in the world today and just where we're at, that separation is kind of necessary or the best way forward?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would have to go back to my family's history with that. My great-grandfather, he was born in Atlanta. He was born down south, and he was a part of the Great Migration. So it was basically when the black people started leaving the South and going up north for a better life. And this was in the 1920s, and he actually joined the UNIA. He was a follower of Marcus Garvey. And I never met my great-grandfather, but when I was little, my grandmother, his daughter, told me about him. She said that my dad said that we was Africans and we should move back to Africa. So I always had an admiration for Black history and African history, coming up. And at that time, I was saying the 60s, in the 1960s, and I wrote a book about this. I have a book. My uncle started a group called the Afro Set, and this is my great-grandfather's grandson, obviously. And Afro at that time was synonymous with African. So my uncle's group, they was at the forefront of reintroducing Black Americans to African history, African culture, African language, African dancing, African fashion, African music. So they would do cooperative type things where they would teach classes about sickle cell. They would teach classes about drug awareness. They would teach classes on Black history. They taught each other Swahili. They would give each other African names. They would wear dashikis. They would teach self-defense. They would go to a farm. They would do target practice with the rifles. They would train with the machetes. They would train with the sticks. They would do community policing. When drug dealers came into the neighborhood, they would run them out. They would run up in dope houses and take the dope. If people were prostituting or pimping, they would run them out of the community. When white police were brutalizing people, they would confront them. And in the book, I talk about some of the shootouts and the rebellions that they had in the city of Cleveland, on account of my uncle and his organization, So he was very educated. He was the minister of information of the organization. So he was responsible for he was the editor of the newspaper. He was the photographer for the group. So back then you didn't have a digital camera, so he had to build a dark room and hang the pictures, individually and stuff like that. He was a poet. He was a playwright. He was a musician, so he did a lot of intellectual things and different things like that. So those things have had an effect on me and my view of the world, outside of my own personal experiences and traveling. I lived in Africa. I lived in Brazil. I lived in the Dominican Republic. So I've got to not only visit different places, but I lived in different places. I went to college in Brazil. I went to college in the Dominican Republic, and I lived in South Africa. So my perspective is that Black people should go back to Africa and reconnect with our brothers and sisters and empower each other. That's the only way we're going to get out of this, because if a Black person is disrespected in America or Brazil or Asia or India or Africa, we all going to be disrespected. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, like China is a superpower. Every country I go to all around the world, they got a Chinatown, and nobody bothers them. You get what I'm saying? Because they know if they burn this Chinatown down, China gonna come for them. So Africans, Black people, we have to have that same mentality. If you bother Haiti, or if you pick with Jamaica, or if you mess with the African Americans, or you mess with the Black people in London, you're gonna have a problem. You know what I'm saying? And we got the minerals and the resources and the animals. We have everything we need. So it's not like it's a situation where we really need another group of people to help us survive. So if we can work together, and like I say, if the Black people from the diaspora go back to Africa. Let's do cooperative economics so we can empower each other. So that way we're not extracting the resources just like an Asian or just European like or anybody else will. You know, we gonna help each other, build each other in return as Africans. And I know that everybody can't go back, so we have to create that networking. You know what I'm saying? Africa would be like the center, the sun, and the diaspora would be the rays, because you got black people in Asia, you got black people in America and Canada. So we have to keep that line of communication that, okay, they're going to be out there, but we have an interest to their well-being, and nobody can bother them. Nobody can put their knee on their neck for 9 minutes until they die and nothing happens. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, definitely, man. And, you know, that's definitely important. And, no, you're right. There needs to be that sort of connection on that cooperative level when we do business and stuff out there. Because one thing, I had a brother around from Nigeria not too long ago. We spoke about it because I was saying that oftentimes, in my experience, and I've never been out to the continent, I've just spoken to some people in regards to do some business, but you come across a lot of people that they try and rip you off, or they think because you're out here, you got all this money and you got all this stuff to and so and they're not understanding you trying to build with them, but they're trying to you know, pull one over on you, and sometimes, as you said, it can be a sticky area where we can, you know, go into doing the same stuff as like some of these others in a different capacity and saying, okay, you know, let's use them for cheap labor and stuff like this, or, you know, let's and you them being exploitive in the situation. I think it was the president of Ghana, I don't know if he's the current president now, but he opened up the year of return, and he had actually, you know, invited out people from the diaspora, primarily America and the Caribbean and England and stuff, to come out and reconnect with their roots and stuff. He had a lot of celebrities and stuff come out. This was like 2019, and he was actually pushing and opening up doors to say if you was from the Caribbean in certain places, you could get citizenship out there and stuff as well, with you know, less aggro and issues and stuff. So I thought that was really a big move, and, you know, it would be an incentive that I'd like to see some of the other countries out there take up and stuff as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Hold on one second. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Yeah, so I think the Year of Return was a great initiative that, you know, I think other countries should pick up and stuff.
Yeah, definitely, man. I was blessed with the opportunity to go to Ghana for the Year of Return. It was amazing, man. I mean, you seen all of the celebrities yourself. It was T.I., Rick Ross, I think Ludacris went, Michael J. White. Yeah, a whole bunch of other people, and they had great experiences. You didn't hear one negative experience. And that's one of the misconceptions that we have about Africa. We think Africa is the most dangerous place in the world. It's dozens of African countries that are far safer than the United States, or even more safer than London. If you know what I'm saying? If you look at it statistically, Ghana is one of the safest countries in Africa, but there are dozens of others. And this information that you can look up yourself. We have the internet, so take advantage of it. Every year, the United Nations, they do a global peaceful index, and they rank the most peaceful countries to the most dangerous countries. So you can see for yourself, lower crime, lower violent crime, lower mass shootings, less militarization, less wars, you know, different things like that, where you can kind of scale and see, you know, what's going on. And also the United States, the Department of State and Travel, like every time an American travels to another country, they keep a record of it. So if somebody dies, you know, that's public information. So you will see that, like, a lot of Americans will go to Mexico, we'll go to Dominican Republic, we'll go to Thailand, we'll go to a lot of places, and you'll see, like, wow, in 2019, you'd like 20 Americans died, 30 Americans died, 100 Americans died. But if you look up Ghana in the Year of Return, one person died. They died in a car accident. But if you look at Egypt, or if you look at Senegal or South Africa, you'll see sometimes nobody died. So a lot of African Americans and other Americans have traveled to different countries in Africa safely, is what I'm trying to say. And Ghana is one of the safest ones. And by them inviting us back, I think that was very admirable. You know, they're offering land, they're offering citizenship, they're often offering business opportunities. You know what I'm saying? And definitely one of the major factors, one of the major benefits is less racism. Imagine you get on a plane, the airline is owned by black people, the pilot is black, the flight attendants are black, the airport named after somebody black, the baggage handlers are black, the taxi drivers are black. You go to the ATM, you take the money out the machine, the people on the money is black, the president black, the governor black, the fireman black, the police black. So you will never in your life have to worry about somebody pulling you over, stopping you, harassing you because you're black.
Judging you, the constant stuff that people have to go through on a, day-to-day basis. Albeit some people saying they don't feel that form of prejudice exists, but we do know that it's something that we deal with on the day-to-day. With that being said, at the places you've traveled, because a lot of them I noticed that you did mention, still have, I know we're dealing with a lot of labels and terms, and I often say for our listeners on this that we're all bound with these terrestrial terms that are given to us. So sometimes we use them, but when we say black and colored and all this sort of stuff, but I guess a lot of the places you've been to would consider, from my own understanding, appear to have like a lot of melanated sort of people in a sense. Have you been to or spent time in any other places where you've been like outside of the US, where you've been like one of the only few black people there and stuff, and what was that experience like?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely for sure. Certain parts of Asia, you be the only black person. Everybody looking at you. I mean, the entire it's a weird feeling. Like you go somewhere and every car, everybody on the motorcycle, everybody walking down the street is looking at you because they never seen a black person in their life, not in person. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel more comfortable being around my people, man. No disrespect to nobody. I love being surrounded by melanated, colored, black, African, whatever you want to call us. And the thing is this, we have a lot of black people all over the world, so sometimes we may overlook certain areas and certain places. Like, ain't no black people there. You know what I'm saying? Like, even Egypt, people don't think black people there. There's millions of black people in Egypt with dark skin, brown skin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get you. I remember I went to Bulgaria once, and I didn't see another black person. What was actually was a trip was the whole time I was out there. It wasn't that crazy because I had a few odd people looking and stuff like an actual black person in the flesh, but nothing like super crazy. But the first black person I saw was when I was on the plane leaving, and the craziest thing,
that?
he was on the plane when I was leaving.
No, what area was you in?
Bulgaria.
Oh wow, I never been to Bulgaria. Where's that? In Europe?
Yeah. But the funniest thing was, he was on the plane when I was leaving, and he was like literally the last person coming on the plane. So and my seat was quite at the front, so I'm seeing everybody come on. And I'm like the whole week or whatever I'd been there, I'd seen no other black person. That day was a problem and such, but that was just the irony. It was just so funny. Like the last person I see come walking on the plane was a black dude. I was looking at like,
Right.
So I thought that was interesting. But to say that when I was out there, I didn't really spend time in the city. I spent it in like the local provinces and stuff with local people and stuff, and they was they were fine. They treated me well. And what was actually funny was when I came back to England, I had some of my English friends who said they were surprised. They said, "Oh shit, I'm surprised they didn't skin you alive out there. Like, you came." And I was like, "Nah." I said, to be honest, I had more people look at me with discontempt here in England, and this is where I was born. So, ain't that a trip?
It'd be like that, definitely, a lot of times. So some places they just get a bad reputation, but man, the things that we go through in America, man, and in the Western world, like you say, even in London, you could still feel it. I think I had some trouble one time when I was going to London. I was trying to come in through the immigration, and I could just tell, like, you know what I'm saying? It was just a racial situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when you know, and I guess, you know, recently it's been under fire and stuff here. Just we've seen in recent events that have come out and made government reports where they say, you know, in the past they have been institutionally racist, I should say, but no longer are. It's more of a social or a class thing now. They've also said, you know, they've spoken a bit more about these things now. So there's a lot of politics around the area, but we've seen even recently there were some footballers, they lost a game and there was a lot of backlash and uproar against them. So we know there's always going to be a certain type of mindset that pervades with, I'm not saying with everybody, but with groups and pockets of people and stuff. And so yeah, there is that kind of energy and hostility here. As much as people live here in a mixed sense, in the sense there is still a lot of separation and stuff as well, you know, and you've got different sort of communities and stuff coming in from Eastern Europe and Northern Africa sort of region with you know, so you've got a lot of settlers and stuff that have migrated and stuff here now, and you know some of them have done well over the past 20 years and stuff economically, have gone out to establish their own pockets of communities and set up businesses and stuff like that. However, for the most part, you just see the so-called black man being pushed out to the wayside sometimes, and we don't say that as like we're pointing the fingers at anybody else, or because I don't think it's anybody else's responsibility to do something for us. Like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, we should do something for self, and I stress that's definitely important.
Yeah, no doubt. That's the only way it's gonna happen, man. Unless we do it, if we waiting on somebody to give us a helping hand, when they depend on our demise. In America, it's like this: when black people go to jail, somebody's making money. You know what I'm saying? When black people get sick, somebody's making money. When black people die, somebody's making money. You know what I'm saying? So if we start becoming independent and self-empowering, then a lot of people are going to lose money. How are they going to provide for their families? If we stop buying fake hair and fake nails, and we start buying processed food and, you know, just unhealthy food, a lot of businesses is going to go under. If we stop killing each other, we stop going to prison, we stop getting arrested, you know, we don't own the prisons. They privately owned, you know, by non-black people. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, we can't expect these people to educate us and guide us in a direction that's going to be detrimental to their survival.
Yeah, you know, do you think, you know, with that being said, you know, that their survival is intertwined with us in a sense, like, you know, because some would argue and say, you know, some of these people, for instance, have their own communities and economics and stuff, and they don't actually need to, you know, be dealing with us. They may argue it from that point too. So, would you say that their survival is intertwined with us, and or they can just sort of, you know, kind of get on with their stuff and we get on with ours?
I mean, just from an American perspective, like I say, like it's like this pretty much. In the black community, you see Asian-owned stores, Arab-owned stores, white businesses. Everybody's allowed to come in and make money. They could sell whatever they want. They could treat us any way they want. It's not like they cool and friendly. They be like, there'd be videos of them beating us and shooting at us and, you know, dogging us. But when you go to their communities, I never seen a black business in Chinatown. I never seen a black business in Little Italy. I never see a black business in the Jewish community. You know what I'm saying? So they have the power to own and control and do whatever they want in their own communities, but we don't have that same luxury. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get you, man. And you know, so with that being said, we're gonna wind this one down. What messages would you give to like youngsters, and not even just youngsters, but you know, I always like to give a message to young people though, definitely. But what message would you give to young people and just to any listeners out there around the world in the diaspora?
Man, it's so much I want to say. We covered pretty much everything, man. I just want to thank the viewers for tuning in and, you know, just We just got to find a way to unite and be independent. I want to tell them if they interested in going to Africa, if they interested in checking out my book, if they interested in my music, I got some dope music. You want to hear something with some lyrical content, something that's uplifting, some black power, some black revolutionary music. Check me out. I do genealogy. I help people retrace their family trees. I help them find slave schedules, marriage licenses, death certificates, war cards. I'm a true historian. I'm a true genealogist. You know what I'm saying? So I have a website. It's campcleveland.org, campcleveland.org. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. It's Camp Cleveland. My music videos, check it out. Do Revolutionaries Go to Heaven by Taye Uhuru, and also The Blacker the Berry, The Sweeter the Juice by Taye Uhuru.
Okay, there we go. So definitely, man, we want to say salute, support. Definitely keep us updated with the projects and stuff. Send us over some music, and we'll see we get that in the mix and stuff as well, man. So definitely props to you for the work that you continuing to do. And we wish you the best in all of your undertakings.
Oh yeah, likewise, King. I truly appreciate you for having me on.
Now, much love, man. This is what the platform's here for. So we'll definitely be connecting again soon, man.
Peace.
All right, salute. Peace. Peace, family. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and check us out on doutbm.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook for exclusive playlists and social media for all different types of segments and content.